Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Very excited to have my next guest on the show. He is all over the place, social media. He's a fitness maverick, founder of the Institute of Human Performance. He's a dynamic speaker, sought-after consultant, author. He's authored so many books, right, JC? He is JC Santana. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, brother.
Well, I appreciate you being here. And we were talking a little beforehand about how you were down at FHE Health a little bit ago and just plotting FHE. I actually saw your reels and I was like, I got to see if JC will come on here. I know you're like a superstar, dude.
Nah, no. I'm very much your normal dude, bro. Surprisingly so. Very much your normal dude and trying to get more normal with time.
Well, I love what you're doing. You're, like I said, fitness maverick. You have so many publications. You have so many certifications, education behind you. But you're helping so many people out there, JC, I know you know that, with fitness and how to get in better shape, a lot of it dealing with the mind and all kinds of things like that. And you're doing amazing work, brother. How did you get into this line of work? What was the catalyst?
I've always loved it, man. I wanted to, my other love is music. So, I've always been into sports, little league on up, and I wrestled and did judo and kickboxing and all the combat arts. And I always loved the physicality. So I kind of started with a pre-med when I went to college. Wrestled in high school, got 10 scholarships, said no to the scholarships, and we're going to go to medical school. And then I worked in a hospital. I couldn't take the smell. I couldn't take everything that was going on in there, everything from the tragedy to the bedpans to everything in between. So I said, no, not going to do it. So went through a slew of, like everybody else, slew of majors, 136 credits with no degree. And then I said, okay, I got to chase my love. And my other love is music.
Yeah.
So I started a band, toured with the band, and that industry is very dark. Let's put it this way, extremely dark. Extremely corrupt. So
what do you mean by dark, JC? Just kind of like drugs, alcohol, stuff
everything.
like that.
Yeah, it's dark. Yeah. It's dark. It's more sadness than it is fun. Because it's fun when you're in it, but then you see you see the fallout, and the fallout is never good. Yeah. It's death and destruction and accidents and overdosing and stuff like that. So I got out of that, and went back to school and said, all right, what do you really want to do? So I said, okay, for the first time, I'm going to actually study what I want. And I studied exercise physiology because there was personal training was coming on board. It's in the early 80s. There was no such thing as personal training prior to the 80s. You went to school to become a phys ed teacher. But in the 80s, the phys ed starts fizzling out, So these people had something to do, needed something to do. So they got into corporate fitness, personal training and occupational therapy. The therapy was booming in the 80s. So I started with physical exercise physiology, got a bachelor's, got a master's. Then I was going to get a PhD. I didn't know if I was going to go psychology. I didn't know if I was going to go nutrition. What the heck? So I started my PhD at the University of Miami with Dr. Signorelli and did my postgrad there. Still work in progress. My PhD is and then that's it. I mean, started with
just build your brand, brother.
And 18 books later and 32 countries and so on and so forth. I opened up the gym, the Institute of Human Performance in 2001. I had a small gym while that was getting built, but now we're the oldest gym in Boca Raton at 22 years, just this April 1st. So it's been quite the ride.
I know you have a huge clientele. I mean, you work with Fortune 500 companies. I mean, you work with everybody.
Just about it. Yeah, my consulting, everybody from CIA to FBI to SEAL Team 6.
Yeah.
On the other side, NFL, NBL, and corporations, that would bring me in to talk to their execs and so on and so forth. So yeah, my tour, I've been in 32 countries. So my worldwide tour was insane before COVID. Insane.
But I imagine it's picking up now. It's been picking up again after post-COVID, right?
Actually, I haven't traveled extensively. I've been once, I think, to Mexico during COVID at the tail end. Now it's going to start to pick up. Now this year, prior to this year, I went 3 years with no traveling.
Yeah.
And so, of course, the business took a hit because it depended on my international business. So COVID killed the international business, and I had to learn how to run a gym. So my son and I, pulled our pants up and went at it. And finally, the gym. Now we're gym operators. Before we were personal trainers and lecture people and stuff like that. But now, now we run
gym
a gym,
operators,
a legit gym now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
A real gym with real.
Well, you've been in the business a very long time.
Yeah.
So you must be doing something right?
Since I was 14, believe it or not.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, back when you're 15 years old, you're in North River Drive in Miami, and you have Brody's Gym. All you need to be a manager is a set of keys, and they'll be more than happy to give you a set of keys if you keep the place clean. Voila, one bathroom. It was a warehouse. There was no females there. Back in those days, those gyms were just dudes.
Yeah.
Terrazzo flooring and rock and roll, baby, just iron. So I was a manager at 15, at Brody's Gym. So.
The one thing I see, because I'm in Arizona, the one thing I see, and you're in the industry, I mean, you're in the fitness industry, is that a lot of these older gyms, same in Colorado where I grew up and was pretty much spent my whole life, is that these older mom and pop gyms, for lack of a better word, are now getting absorbed by like these big corporate conglomerates. Is that the case? I mean, like Lifetime and all kinds of other.
Yeah, but Lifetime is not, it's not buying over gyms like mine.
Yeah. Okay.
And I've consulted for Lifetime.
Yeah.
For the original Lifetime in Minnesota, up there in Minnesota. And so I'm very familiar with Lifetime, worked with them for a while. And at some point in time, they were yapping about buying me over, but they never did.
Yeah.
And I predicted about 15 years ago, almost 20 years ago, when I opened up IHP, that the small gym was going to be the next thing.
Wow.
And that we were going to be able to compete in the marketplace with the big boxes.
Because it's more intimate and it's more intimate. The
big boxes have the glamour. They have the jacuzzis. They have the pools. They have the 70,000 square foot Wally World, but they don't have
the personalization,
high-end knowledge.
Yeah.
And they don't have that quality.
Yeah.
They don't, because it's a revolving door. And so gyms like mine are owned by the personnel that's working in there. So they take a special interest in their education. They take a special interest in service. They take a special interest in their specialties. And they can provide high-end services.
And like you said, I mean, you don't have 2,000 people in there like you do with a Lifetime. It's more intimate, right? I imagine it's smaller and you get a lot more attention.
It's not only the intimate, because I can do my work at Lifetime.
Yeah.
But Lifetime's not going to give me the autonomy. They're not going to give me the control of running the trainers the way I want. They want the corporate world. So they would never get a guy like me ever to work there.
Okay.
Ever. And the people that a place like Lifetime or Equinox, by the time they develop that person will go out and open their own stuff, because they won't be able to do what they want to do inside the box.
Absolutely.
And you just can't.
Yeah. Now,
therein lies the service. Therein lies the essence of personal training.
Yeah. Now, and I'm going to ask you again. You seem to see. I know you see it all the time. You seem to. I see all these fads coming out, like with fitness.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a couple of years ago, it was CrossFit. I don't know if CrossFit's still around. I did CrossFit, almost killed myself.
It's faded, like I said it would.
But and I'm assuming mainly because injuries. I mean, what?
Look, even Orange Theory was hot 5 years ago. I was on.
That's the bikes, right? The bike. Those are the bikes,
Orange Theory is the play that's orange with orange light, red light.
Okay. I'm thinking a Soul Cycle or whatever.
And it's a circuit, and they have rowers, and they have and they have a circuit that
why do those things don't last? I mean,
because it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's a circuit. And it's the roars. Okay, so you change the wood chop to a diagonal wood chop, but it's still an exercise with a ball. And it's people are running there like hamsters. And okay, so your heart rate is up on the monitor and you're competing with the heart rate, but that gets old. So when those places open up, the ones that make long-lasting money it's the franchise itself and not the franchisee. maybe the beginners make a little bit of money, but eventually if they stay there long enough, they're going to lose their ass.
Yeah.
So you don't hear of Orange Theory as much as you used to. And in another 3 or 4 years, it'll be something else, and they'll be gone.
Yeah. But the places like yours, you know,
Mine,
the
a
gym,
place like
it's
mine,
going to stand the test of time.
and not only that, it gets actually better with time.
Yeah.
Better
Okay.
with time because the owner gets mature. And if the owner has a son like me, then that son comes in, and that son carries that blood, that interest, that
Passion,
100% devotion to the place, to the place, that pride in the place. And then the guys that come in absorb that. So the staff, although, let's put it this way, my staff of 6 now outproduces my old staff of 12 by 30%. By 30%. Half the staff, 30% over in sales.
Yeah.
And when I say sales, I mean gross. Why? Because not because we're selling. We don't sell. People are attracted.
Yeah, I was going to say they're attracted to it.
Yeah, you do the work, people come. You do a good work, do a good job, and people come.
So I'm going to ask you a question, JC. I don't know if it's too broad, but I'm going to ask anyway. What are the basic tenets of good fitness? You know what I mean? Okay, what for the person out there who's listening that wants to get into better shape, wants to get lean or whatever, bulk up. I mean, I know people are different, so it's but
people are different, and it's different for different people. Is the answer you get when there's no principles, because principles apply to everybody.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
values and taste, that differs from culture to culture, person to person. But principles are overall natural laws that if you violate, bad stuff happens.
Okay.
So here's the deal. It's not different for different people. The tenets of fitness is number 1, movement. Number 2, consistency. Number 3, frequency. Okay. You got to do it often. I say every day if you can. Every day if you can.
How often do you think moving? I mean, what do you recommend? I mean, 20, 30 minutes a day or whatever?
Walk every day. Every day, 40, 50 minutes, an hour, every day. Lift. You don't have to bench press 300. You don't even have to do functional training, man. Get behind some machines, do a little bit of chest, do a little bit of back, do a little bit of everything 3 or 4 days a week. Done. The rest, get on your bike, get in the pool, walk, take your dog out for a walk.
Movement is life.
Treadmill, man.
Yeah.
Get your dog and walk it. Walk with your kids. You got babies, push them.
Yeah. Just some sort of movement.
Move, man. Move. And the biggest fallacy is fit and health are 2 different things.
Yeah, because you could be very fit but unhealthy.
So much. We learned this thing 30 years ago. Wellness. What is wellness? Wellness is a combination of everything: emotional health, physical health, okay? Spiritual health. That's wellness. This is what you're looking for. You don't have to run a mile in 9 minutes or 6 minutes or 7 minutes. You don't even have to run a mile. Who says you got to run a mile? Walk fast. Okay. Yeah. So why do you have to raise VO2? That's a fallacy. I don't even look at VO2 for my athletes. Yeah. Not even for my athletes.
And that's just something that was ingrained in us, right? Just growing up, condition, advertising.
It's culture. It's culture. You got to go hard. Tabata this, Tabata that. Nobody even does Tabata. They do Tabata time. Tabata, which was a research study that was done with 20 seconds of hard intensity exercise, 10-second rest repeated. Well, the problem is that the 20 seconds are like 120% above VO2 max. So who the hell's going to do that? It's never been able to be replicated. Nobody can actually do that in physicality. So they do Tabata timing, but they don't do Tabata intensity. So nobody does Tabata training. Nobody. Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they do, but they don't.
Yeah, I know when I was younger, I was in the military. I told you that before we started, and we were running all over the place and all that shit. I don't run a lot anymore, but I walk. I get on the treadmill, and the older I get, the more I'm. I was always pumping weights and stuff, but I don't care to bulk up anymore. I'm just looking more for cardiovascular health.
Yeah, and not only that, bro. look, statistically, big people die early.
Yes.
Strong men die early. Athletes die earlier than the average population.
Is that just because their body is so worn out?
Because of the wear and tear, bro. You're allowed so many heartbeats in a lifetime. And if you want to use them all playing football, well, we'll give you a short career and a short life.
Yeah.
It's not what people think. Everything is the antithesis of what we been sold. If you want to on YouTube, just look up "strength training is killing people."
Wow.
I have a 3-part video on how we are overdoing it for nothing. For nothing. It's all lies. It's all lies. For example, I'll give you an example.
Give me an example.
Father wants a kid to play basketball, okay? And the kid has to increase his vertical. And of course, the best way to increase your vertical is plyometrics, Olympic weight training, and heavy squatting. Lie, 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 and lie. But boy, they're coming in asking for it. But it's all lies. Why? Because basketball is not determined by vertical jump. As a matter of fact, vertical jump is not even important at basketball. Don't believe me? Look at the game. Mm-hmm. Look on YouTube. Don't believe your lying eyes, as they say, Look on YouTube and punch in best jump shots of 2022. And you'll see that most jump shots are below knee height. Few jump shots get to even double digits, inches. Few are higher than 10 inches.
So a lot of it's just misinformation out there.
Totally. Well, you need for rebounding. Really? When have you seen a shooting guard rebound inside of 7'4" centers? Mm-hmm. It ain't going to happen, brother. It's not going to happen. They're going to man up that 280, 300-pound body on you, and you're not going to get position. Then on top of that, when they go like this, they're going to be at basket height. So you don't need to jump. We train centers. They don't jump to rebound. They jump 6 inches for rebound because it's all about positions.
Yeah. So
here you go, a kid doing plyometrics, wrecking his knees, squatting heavy, wrecking his hips.
At a young age. Yeah.
Man. And then do Olympic weightlifting, which is a sport in and of itself. Okay. That could be even dangerous. And I tell you, because I competed in Olympic weightlifting at the national level till I was 41. So I know the game.
Yeah.
And that's why I have 2 artificial hips. I did the full snatches, ass to the grass. I did all that. And I had good technique at 41. And I paid for it. So not everybody's body's made to squat. Not everybody's knees are made to jump. And you don't need that. You don't need that. Oh, my son needs to run faster. Okay, I'll grant you that. Why? Oh, he needs a 4.40, 4.540. No, he doesn't, because you never go in a linear line anywhere. Yes, it's a measurement, but the measurements are BS. Show me one combine standout that's in the Hall of Fame. Show me one.
Yeah, it's a good point.
You won't find them.
Yeah.
You won't find them. Show me any guy in the NBA that's a leading, like a Kobe, like a LeBron James. Like Jordan, that level. Show me one that can squat, say 300 for a single, buddy. For a single. Not for
you can't do it.
For a single. They can't.
Yeah.
They can't. So why are we asking for all of this? Show me an NFL Hall of Famer that can bench press 400 pounds. Show me a Hall of Famer that has ran a 4.40. You won't find none of this shit.
Yeah.
Yet the combines are dishing out millions for performance.
Yeah.
And excellence in the combine almost predicts failure in the NFL. Go hit that one.
Well, and I think what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, JC, is you can get to that level, but you need to do it the right way, or you're going to pay for it down the road.
The way you get to the right level is not what people think it is.
Exactly. That's what I mean. That's the problem. Is that we're being bombarded with all this misinformation.
Totally.
A lot of it is lack of education on the people's part. They don't take time. They just probably pass along what the crap they learned to the next generation. And your point is that, I mean, you made a really good point about NFL players. I mean, their bodies are wrecked after 30 years.
30 living years.
Yeah, 30 living
years in the league.
Yeah, that's what I meant. 30 living years
in the league. Yeah.
There's, I mean, the people like Brady who are 45, that's an anomaly. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, but I mean, look, take that dude.
Yeah.
Do you think he could survive a day in IHP? Not a day.
No.
I would put my housewives against that dude and whip his ass. but the greatest guy to ever throw a ball.
Exactly.
Right. And if you look at the receivers, historically, say Jerry Rice, wasn't a high jumper, wasn't a fast guy, wasn't a strong guy. He was a conditioned athlete.
Yeah.
Why? First thing you do is forget about strength. First thing you do is get them in condition. Then teach them proper position. How do you teach them proper position? Practice.
Yeah.
You have to learn the skills. You have to practice the skills. And then you have to practice it in a live environment so you can chunk. Okay. Chunking is what allows the precision. The precision is being able to anticipate what's going on. And you do that. Chunking means taking a bunch of data and chunking it into a meaningful structure or a meaningful thing. And so when an athlete is going to receive a serve, let's say, or an athlete is getting ready to bat, if the ball, let's say, is thrown, let's say, faster than 94 miles an hour, the batter has to figure out if he's going to swing or not before the ball leaves the pitcher's hands.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. How does the batter do that with a certain degree of certainty? How does, I think it's like over 140 miles, and don't quote me on this, but about at 140 miles, 137 miles serving speed, ball speed, you have to decide whether you're going to go right to receive a serve or left, okay, before it hits the racket. So how does a tennis player waiting for a serve goes, I mean, boom, takes an instantaneous picture, all right, and says right, and be able to predict that with 90% certainty.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Because they chunk a million, trillion points of data like that. So what you think is reaction in sports is not reaction. It's actually anticipation.
Anticipation. Okay.
All right. How do you develop that? Practice.
Yeah.
You got to practice. You got to
conditioning.
practice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Practice.
So you can see it. So condition puts you in position, and position allows you to express precision. It's a pyramid.
Yeah.
So now you don't have to squat 300 pounds. Get in shape. Get in shape so you can be in the right position.
Well, and I love what you said, JC, about, fitness, because when I hear the term fitness, I think of just body, okay, muscles, lean, you can lift or whatever. But so much, like you pointed out, you're exactly right. I mean, it has to do with the mind, spiritual fitness, mind fitness. I mean, you have to be good up here before your body can be good, right?
Yes, and not only spiritual, but also deep reflective, which it crosses into the spiritual world, if you want to. But strong psychologicals, for example.
Absolutely.
A lot of the reason why guys are searching in a gym for more weight is a super compensation to something. Okay, to super compensate. What are you super compensating for? What kind of insecurity or inequities are you trying to make up with a 18 or 19-inch arm? You think that's going to solve your problems? Your problems are bigger than that 19-inch arm. So once you fix that, once you're happy with yourself, you realize, you know what? I don't need that. I mean, I don't mind a good-looking body. I like this, but I don't need to suffer from this dysmorphia anymore, where it's never big enough, and I'm willing to sacrifice my body to squat 500 pounds. Why, bro? So you can be king at the gym? What is that? What is that for? What are you overcompensating for?
Yeah.
Really? King at the gym? Okay. And you're going to sacrifice your hips?
Well, and the thing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, once you get to that 19-inch arm, you obviously have to maintain it, right? I mean, you can't.
Yeah. More abuse.
If you want to keep it, you got to be doing the same thing or more.
More abuse. Well, then you add this issue. What if a 19-inch arm is not within your genetic bandwidth?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say your physical potential doesn't give you a 19-inch arm. I don't give a heck what you do. Okay, so now you're looking at steroids, okay? Or you're looking at pushing your body to the point where you're going to break down. You're going to break down. And either way, with the steroids or without the steroids, you're going to break down.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to magnify this, Okay, all you have to do is like look at some of the Mr. Olympians that are on medication. They can't even walk now, some of these guys.
Well, and it's
Okay.
interesting you said that, because when I'm at the gym, and maybe it's just me, maybe but you can almost tell, I know you can because you're an expert. Okay, that guy's juicing, man. That guy's on something, right? You know what I mean? You can just look at him and say, that's not fucking normal.
Yeah, I mean, some guys are normal and they don't look normal, but the majority of the guys that have that look, they're not normal. They're juicing. Okay, are you? Because look, I'm on testosterone.
I am. I was going to ask you about. I'm on TRT.
I'm on testosterone, but bro, I'm so self-medicated conservatively that I cut my dose before the doctor even gets to me.
Yeah.
So, for example, standard dose for a guy that's running below 300 or in the low 300s, it's 200 mLs a week. You do 100 ml injections. That's standard.
Yeah.
I start doing that, goes up to 600. I'm happy. 700. I'm happy. 900. All right. And it goes up to 1200. Well, I didn't even consult with my doctor. I cut it in half.
Yeah.
Okay. So I went once a week with 100. Okay. 600, 700, beautiful for like 6 or 7 years. For reasons unbeknownst to me, my testosterone has taken off. My last blood work, it was 925.
Yeah.
And it had been as high as 1200, but it was tested 2 days after the injection.
Yeah.
So you get this artificial high read. I said, well, let me see 4 days after the injection and let's see where it's at. I expected to see 700. I saw 925 and I called the doctor. I said, too high for me. Too high for me. My free testosterone is 200. And so my red blood cells are super high, and my hematocrit, the viscosity of my blood is very thick.
Yeah.
54.
Yeah.
I'm going, no, we're not doing this. So I've already cut it. Instead of cutting the dose, I spread out the injection instead of every 7 days, every 9 days. And we'll do that for 3 or 4 months and see where it's at. And I just gave blood to bring my hematocrit down.
Yeah.
So these are things that if you're going to be on testosterone, you got to stay on top of this stuff, bro. I mean, I'm ahead. The doctor called me, actually, as a matter of fact, yesterday. I said, I did this. He goes, and she goes, I wish all my patients were like you. I said, no, don't worry about a hematocrit. I already gave blood last Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah. And I had them take a little bit red blood cells out and ferret out. So everything is under control. Very sweet. Everything else was fine.
Well, I'm glad you brought up testosterone, because I've been taking testosterone for a couple of years now. I feel great. I know when I first started taking it, and I had to do the therapeutic blood draws to, get the excess out. But I'm glad you brought it up, because this is a possible option for a lot of people out there, a lot of men. And I remember when what's that?
Older cats.
Yeah, older cats like me.
Well, some guys at 40, some guys at 35 start, going low in the testosterone. Look, get it checked.
You get it checked out.
There's no shame in this.
But I remember when I started taking it, people are, you're taking steroids. I'm like, no, I'm not. It's testosterone. Am I wrong, JC?
You're taking steroids.
Am I taking steroids when I'm doing TRT?
Yes.
I thought it was like testosterone.
Testosterone is a steroid.
But not the bad stuff, right? Is it bad?
No, it's not bad, but there's what the bad stuff is not stuff, it's bad use.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
Because you can take decadurablin, and I'm not a steroid guru. Bodybuilders are the experts. If you really want to know, don't ask a doctor. Ask a professional bodybuilder.
Yeah.
The dudes are like basically scientists. Insane level of
because they're in the middle of it. They're
in the middle of it. Yeah. So you can take Deca, which is one of the strongest steroids out there, testosterone out there, very, very anti-inflammatory. You swell up, that has other side effects. And if you're taking it, for example, I got on a cycle of Deca on my second hip replacement because I needed it to repair.
Sure.
Okay. And I didn't go on testosterone replacement until I was 48. And the reason that I went into it was actually because of my right hip. So I wanted it to repair fast because I wanted to do a seminar 2 weeks after the replacement. So I wanted to be on a plane. We were heading to the NSCA, and on the second one, I was heading to Argentina. So, I didn't sit down too much.
Yeah.
So that's how I started with the steroids. And it just so happens that my testosterone was dropping at 48, was already down in the 300. So he goes, look, why don't you stay on this stuff? But I can tell you that if you use it appropriately, you can recover.
Yeah.
You can do things. If you have AIDS, some of these steroids are immensely helpful. If you have AIDS, if you have any catabolic condition.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, insulin, awesome if you're a diabetic. But if you're taking insulin as a bodybuilder, you better know what the hell you're doing. I just don't see that as a
so the bottom, but so whatever you're going to take or thinking about, for the listeners out there, if you're thinking about taking testosterone, go to a doctor, go to somebody who knows what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, and you don't
do blood work.
You don't buy that from your friend at the gym. No, and you don't believe even a bodybuilder that knows what they're doing. No, and no. The way you do this is, if you're feeling crappy, if you're in your 30s, late mid 30s and early 40s, and you're like, wow, I just don't have it. I don't have the energy. And you see a little bit of body fat getting on you, anyways, you should be getting checkups regularly anyways, yearly at the very least.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, doc, I'm not feeling very good. Can you check my testosterone? Bingo.
I like what you said. It's the misuse of it. Right.
The misuse. It's like there's no good or bad exercise. It's bad application.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not no good or bad, drugs. It's the abuse of drugs.
Yeah.
Heroin. Okay. Nobody would suggest you do that recreationally. Okay. But there's applications for that. Morphine, same thing.
Well, they're ketamine now in treatment.
Propofol. Okay.
Yeah.
What Michael Jackson. If I'm going to have anesthesia, I would like propofol. Thank you very much, because I don't want to feel the surgery. But I'm not going to take propofol because I can't sleep. No, I'm not going to putz around like that.
Yeah. So, that's the misuse.
The misuse is where the trouble is. It's not in the substance. Alcohol. A drink is cool. 2 drinks is better. But a half a bottle and then driving is a stupidity. So,
well, and it's interesting that you bring that up, because you see it, JC, all these studies that come out now. I read a study or an article a couple of days ago that says, 1 glass of wine a day is not actually bad for you. I mean, depending, but it's again, I mean, there's a good and bad. I mean, you always hear all these things.
I would say yes, but if you don't drink, the benefits or the not bad for you is not worth picking up drinking.
Sure.
Or health benefits. So if you're a non-drinker and you're happy, stay non-drinker.
Yeah, stay a non-drinker. I guess I should have prefaced it by that. But it's interesting how you see, like what you were talking about. Okay, maybe there are good applications to these once taboo things. You know what I mean? That we thought
just about everything that's taboo has a proper application. Just about
proper application. That's awesome.
Everything, even if it's a small dose would kill you, there's going to be a proper scientific application for something. Maybe it's for weed and feed. Maybe it's for thinning paint. But there'll be a good use for the substance.
Going back to when I went to treatment at Shatterproof, I just mentioned ketamine. Now, I was arresting people for this shit, years ago. But like you said, the small amount, and every patient's different, but the right application can do wonders for somebody suffering from PTS.
Correct. So I'm very careful to point fingers and go bad, because as sure as hell, when you say bad, there'll be a good thing to it.
Yeah. So it's keep an open mind. Yeah.
There's instances, I mean, the simplest thing is, the 10 commandments. Thou shalt not kill. Well, there's times when that is indicated.
Yes.
Okay. Somebody comes in your house at 2:00. They got a weapon. You got children in the house.
Military.
Then it's done. I mean, then it's justified.
Yeah.
And that's why we have murder in the first and the second and the third, involuntary manslaughter, self-defense, and all this other, because it depends on the context. but it all involves somebody dying.
Yeah.
And somebody making that person dead.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's the context? Right. So what's the context?
Well,
There you go.
I learned so much today talking to you. I learned more about testosterone, which is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, some people are on the cream. My training partner is on the cream. He loves the cream. He goes, should I go on the injectable? I go, bro, your blood work is beautiful. You don't break what's not broken. You don't fix what's not broken. So
Yeah.
his blood work is great. I went on injectables, and I'm happy. And I'm titrating the amounts down because I'm very conservative with it. I don't need 900, 1,000, and 2,000, 1,200 levels. I don't want it.
Yeah.
You know, my dad had prostate cancer. I'm not turning on the sprinklers for prostate cancer to grow.
Yeah.
And testosterone, high levels of testosterone, is water to prostate cancer.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I'm dealing with that. So no,
Yeah.
I'm being very conservative, extremely conservative.
Wow. JC Santana, tell us really quick, brother, before we wrap up. We were talking about, before we started, your little visit to FHE Health. How was it?
It's amazing, man. It's another chapter basically in my life, because you know I'm a geekazoid on some things. I have artists and I have scientists, and I have these bipolar things that I got going on. So I'm going to sit down and I'm going to read my pre and post labs from. And when I was studying with Dr. Signorelli at the University of Miami, we did a fair amount of studying on the neuroplasticity of the brain.
Yeah.
Basically, how adaptive it is, because we thought that even patterns of movement were hardwired. They're not.
No.
And if you learn a new pattern, there is a morphological change in the brain that can be quantified. New cells, new bifurcations, and it's just insane. This thing here is constantly moving, shaking, and baking for the good and the bad.
Greatest supercomputer in the world.
Wow.
In the universe.
Its ability to repair itself. So I didn't know this, but you know, head trauma, for example. You know, oh yeah, I used to box. Well, let's see what's going on in there. And so when they did the brain mapping, and brain mapping is a picture that they take of your brain that measures the wave activity. That's what it measures. It's not like an MRI. It's a colorful thing. It looks like a rainbow.
Yeah.
And different wavelengths, have different colors. Okay. And they see 3 conditions. That's when they brain map you. They brain map you under 3 conditions. You stand alert and look at a dot for 10 minutes, and they see your brain. So what does your brain do when you're not doing much, but you're alert? And then they ask you to close your eyes, but not go to sleep. And then you do that for 10 minutes, and they want to see what happens when you kind of shut it down, but you're not sleeping. So they want to see the brain's ability to follow that direction. Okay, it's dark, chill. All right.
Yeah.
Then they do a real interesting thing, which is a response test where they throw 800 stimuluses at about half a second, 3/4 of a second pace. So it's pretty fast. And they throw 800 at you. And there's stop signs. A green stop sign with a go inside, and a red stop sign with a no inside. And so they have a mouse in your right hand or left hand. And when it's green, boom, you click it. If it's red, you don't click it. And so you would think, oh, easy. No, it's not easy.
No.
800 of them will beat your ass, bro. It gets to the point where you're like, okay, here we go, you know? And so they take how many you missed out of the 800, what is your average response time, and where are your peaks and valleys and all that stuff. And what they noticed was that the left side of my brain was repairing from what? Well, I was a fighter, and I'm a right-handed fighter. So a lot of the stuff that came to the head from that rear right leg and from that right hand comes to this side of the body. Okay. And here you get an occasional left hook, which is damaging as well. But a lot of it comes to the body down here, left hook to the body, and so on and so forth. I also took a couple of spills on my bike because I used to race bikes after my wrestling career. I wanted to get into something cardio, but where I didn't have to starve. So I chose bike racing. So did a lot of miles, good cardio, all that stuff. And I took a couple of spills, and all of them were in here to the left side.
Mhm.
So in comes the brain map, and it shows red waves, slow waves
Wow.
here, gammas, and then they had frequencies on the right side and the left side of the brain. So here's the repair, but the reduction in function occurs on the right side.
Yeah.
And some of my waves were a little flat instead of, a higher amplitude. So if they measure the left side and the right side of my brain, they go, oh, look at this one. This one's nice and high. This one's a little flat. So if you get hit here, whiplash, the damage on the tissue is here, but the decrement in function is here. That's what I showed in my brain map, particularly. So they hit me with 15 different sessions, and at the end, they hit me with another set of tests. And so it's amazing to see how the red stuff is gone. I'm going, okay, show me the frequencies, the waves. And then you go, wow, my brain is more symmetrical.
Yeah.
My brain is more repaired. My brain is healthier. And you say, well, you think you're sleeping better and that you're remembering things better. And not necessarily. I think I sleep better, but I haven't really mastered the not getting up 5 times, 4 times in a night. Okay. So, but I am noticing that the quality of my sleep is better.
Yeah.
I'm noticing that I'm calmer, and my memory, I still forget stuff.
Yeah.
So they're hitting me now with a parasympathetic protocol. So we started today, and that is to bring my parasympathetic up to see if I can get further calm, and that will impact the
it's just amazing what we're learning about the brain, what we know about the brain. Yeah.
So we got our fighters, and you know that I train a lot of MMA fighters.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I want to do before I die, I want to be that doctor that talked about concussion with the NFL. I want to be that doctor to MMA, because for 20 years I've been telling them you don't need to spar, and you certainly don't need to spar as hard as this. So like equivalent of telling the football players you don't need to deadlift 400 or 500 pounds. You don't need to squat 400 or 500 pounds. You don't even need to run a 4.3 40. You don't need to do any of that. You don't need to bench press 25 pounds 30 times. You don't need to do any of that, guys, and go against the culture. I'm doing that.
Yeah.
So we're taking our fighters to FHE.
I know. I saw.
And I'm dying to see, what they see when they see their brains and pictures of their brains and how they're going to be after. And when I show hard data, I want to get sensors in headgears so we can count the number of concussions in a sparring session, and show up to MMA Masters, show up to American Top Team, show up to Kill Cliff with hard data.
Yeah.
Not opinion, hard data. And say, now I can prove to you what I've been telling you for 20 years. You're killing these young men. You're killing them. They don't have to spar hard to be great fighters.
Yeah.
They have to train smart. So
it's the same thing, in that movie Concussion that doctor did. What he was trying to, petition the league, the NFL, and because remember, he studied woodpeckers, and he studied all these different, he went through all this research, and one of his things was, and he was saying, that the woodpecker, that's what they're designed to do. Their brain is encapsulated. It's designed to do that. Humans don't have that.
No.
And you're asking this little piece of plastic to protect their brains.
It can't, because even if the plastic was thick, even if it was,
it's rocking around the brain.
There you go. It's that. I don't care what you put. You can put this much gel. If you're going from 20 miles an hour to 0 in 6 inches, you're going to have a concussion.
Well, it's the same like you were saying with MMA and boxing. It's the same thing.
Dude, a good jab can concuss you. Yeah. A good jab. And these people will be just like the detonators, the demolition guys in the armed forces. They got the helmets, they got everything. They blow up, they dust themselves up. It's like, okay, let's go to the next house. So what happened? Well, they started noticing that when they got back to the barracks, they had problems with these people, antisocial problems, and even a couple of deaths. So I said, wait a minute, it's these bomb guys. What's going on? And they figured out that these guys were getting concussed. concussed every time they detonated something. They figured, hey, let's man up. I'm a little dizzy. Let's go to the next house and do it. So now they have sensors in the helmets. And when the sensors go off red, they pull that guy out. They treat him, make sure that he's safe before he goes back. I want to put those sensors in headgears.
Yeah. Well, I have a feeling you're going to do it, brother.
Oh, rest assured it's going to get done. Rest assured it's going to get done.
JC Santana, thank you so much, my friend, for coming on the show. It's been I could talk to you all day, brother. Got to have you back on. More knowledge. I was writing stuff down. I'm like, oh God, I'm doing this wrong. I'm doing that wrong.
We'll do a monthly thing. We'll do it every 2 or 3 months, however you want. I'm always
big shout out to FHE, brother.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
FHE, you've been saving lives, and you're gonna save more lives. I'm bringing all my fighters to you.
Thank you, brother. And for the listener out there, I mean, I'm gonna put everything that we talked about in the show notes, along with how to reach JC Santana, all his social, everything. So thank you, brother. God bless you. I appreciate your work. I hope sometime when I'm down in Florida, I can meet you.
Please come on down.
You can kick my ass into shape, brother.
No. We're going to walk it. We're going to walk down and do them all.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it, man.
Love you, brother.
Love you too.